as freedom, but there's still so much work to do in our community.
Yeah.
So I would love to talk about intersectionality within the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially given Black Lives Matter, there has been a wonderful spotlight put onto the fact that the Black LGBTQ community is often excluded. When I personally see a lot of things about Pride, it's a lot of white faces. There's not a whole lot of diversity, despite the conversation and constantly dropping that buzzword diversity.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear your thoughts on the issues of racism, sexism, and transphobia within our LGBTQ community.
Well, you just hit it on the nail. And, you know, we've talked about this again before, which I love this conversation with you because like, it's like our own personal kiki, how we talk is like now in the public. So I love it. But what I think is important for people to know, and this is going to be surprising for some, and it's going to feel like an attack to others, but I want you to know it's not. I'm just clarifying what is the truth of an experience for many people. And you have to hear this. The LGBTQ plus community is racist. The LGBTQ plus community is sexist, and the LGBTQ plus community is transphobic. And the thing is that we have to acknowledge that as a community so that we can start to work together to change that. And we have to understand, first of all, this was a history that has been around for many years. When we talk about Stonewall was not this inclusive bar where everyone went and everyone felt supported. Majority of the bars that were available pushed out women and pushed out people of color and pushed out trans people. They became safe spaces for white men. And then Stonewall was created for all of those individuals who did not feel as if they had a space in the other secret underground gay clubs or LGBTQ plus clubs. And so when we look at Stonewall, we have to remember the reason that space existed is because everyone felt like they were getting pushed out, that they were not accepted. There is footage from a protest that happened during that time. And you hear them booing a trans woman on stage. I mean, this is a very popular footage. Now, this is 1960 something, 1970, I believe. These are gay people booing a trans person. And a lot of that transphobia has still, is still with us today. And also, and again, this goes back to what I said about like Black Lives Matter and understanding this is about equity and equality. This is the same thing with the LGBTQ plus movement. It's about equity and equality. So I would challenge every person who thinks, no, this is crazy. The gay community is not racist. No, it's not. I challenge you tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, because we still kind of in quarantine, so everybody still say yes at home. But I would challenge you the next time you have an opportunity to go to an LGBTQ event, look around, see how many women you see. See how many trans people you see. See how many people of color you see, Black, Latino, Asian. And then see how many people you see who intersect at those places. That could be Black and trans, could be Asian and trans, could be bi and Pacific Islander. You just find it out, like look and see where the intersections are. And if you don't see those people there, let that be the wake-up call. Because I tell you, if you go into any club in any city, it's going to be majority white men. And you're not going to see a lot of women. And so it's not that women don't like to party and have a good time too, or celebrate our pride. It's because these spaces have been dominated and have created a culture where we're like, oh, we don't really need you here. We don't care about you. We don't want your dollars. We don't need you here. That's the same thing that's causing the issue because we're not facing it. And so for me personally, when I go into like these dinners, like I love a good fancy dinner, girl. I don't know if you've been to one.
Yes.
But some of these organizations, they put the 4-course, the 8-course meals and I love it. You get to see Beyonce up close, like you get to see stars that you would never see up close at these dinners or these galas. But you look around the room and you're like, oh, there's only 4 of the Black folks in here. Or there's only 5 other women in here identify as lesbians, or there's nobody in here that's bi. There's not even a bi flag up. There's no pan flag up. You see that they're intentionally not including. And so we have to make sure that as we go through this Pride season, that we start to acknowledge that so that we can see change. Because at the heart of it, I do think that the LGBT community being marginalized, they do want equality for all. But I think we've just gotten to a pattern where no one's checking it. And so we're just dealing with the same BS instead of saying, hey, let's challenge each other to be better.
I think I want to dig a little deeper on this, actually, is talking about specifically Black trans women.
Yes.
Commonly overlooked, commonly almost erased, actually, I would say. So what can we do as allies, as being in the LGBTQ community? What can we do to ensure that the fight for Black Lives Matter, it's all Black lives?
Well, first of all, we got to make sure people understand why Black trans lives are usually, and we're talking about Black trans female lives normally, that are overlooked, erased, murdered. So you're talking about a race and a gender that our society, that intersect, that our society has told us since the beginning of time, we don't see. We're not seeing you as Black folks, and women, you're second-class citizens. So now you have the intersection of these two pieces. And now the society is like, hold on, you're Black and you're a woman? We're not dealing with this. We're not even going for it. And so then there's a lack of opportunity, resources, support that's happening there. And so what we have to understand is that when it comes to intersectionality, there are people who are at more risk because of the fact that they are at these intersections. And we have to make sure that we understand that those individuals are more vulnerable and have to do a little bit extra work to support them. Again, it's the same thing. This message is consistent, and if you can get it once, you'll understand it throughout. This is the same thing that we're saying in the Black Lives Matter. We're not saying that other lives in the LGBT community don't matter. They're just as important, but we're saying that this community at its intersection is being harassed and killed more than anybody else. So we have to spend a little more time making sure that our trans sisters and brothers have equality and equity so that they can have the lives they deserve. And it's the same thing. Just look at it from that way. It's not saying that anyone else's life doesn't matter. It's saying that someone else is being disproportionately hurt, killed, or challenged, and we need to just be there to support them.
Yeah, and make sure that they feel that we know that their lives matter just as much.
Exactly.